Why it sucks to be a GTA cop. Imagine being a police officer in Los Santos. One minute you're writing a parking ticket outside a Suburban on Vinewood Boulevard. The next minute you're chasing a man who just robbed the Fleeca Bank, hijacked a Merryweather helicopter, and somehow survived 300 bullets on foot while wearing cargo shorts. That's not a bad day at work. That's Tuesday in Los Santos. Cop cars swarming the freeway. Helicopters circling the Maze Bank Tower. SWAT units rappelling off buildings. Military-grade equipment deployed against a single man in a beaten-up Vapid Dominator. And here's the thing nobody talks about. In GTA, the cops were never meant to win. Los Santos, the most violent city ever created. Let's put the scale of Los Santos into perspective, because this is not just a city with a high crime rate. This is a city that was designed from the ground up to be impossible to police. At any given moment in GTA 5, Los Santos is home to the Ballas, the Vagos, the Triads, the Armenian Mob, the Lost MC, Merryweather Security, a literal private military, and at least 2 functioning international drug cartels. That's before you factor in the mafia connections, the FIB's internal corruption, and the IAA running black ops inside the city limits. Normal cities have gang problems. Los Santos has a gang ecosystem. Military-grade weapons are available at every AMU nation on the map. Rocket launchers, miniguns, sticky bombs. You can walk in off the street and buy a grenade launcher between a hot dog stand and a discount clothing store. Bank robberies don't just happen occasionally in this city. They're basically a local industry. The Union Depository heist alone involved tactical vehicles, military hardware, and a crew that operated with the discipline of a special forces unit. No real police department on Earth is designed to fight this level of chaos every single day. The LAPD, the NYPD, they deal with surges, spikes, individual crises. Los Santos cops wake up to this. It's the baseline. Major problem for the cops. The criminals are basically superhuman. Here's where the job gets genuinely unwinnable. The criminals that Los Santos police are chasing aren't normal people. They're protagonists, and in the logic of GTA's world, protagonists cannot permanently lose. Michael DeSanta is a retired bank robber with the tactical instincts of a career mercenary. Trevor Phillips once walked into a military compound, killed an entire armed detail, and drove out in a tank because he was bored. Franklin Clinton can slow down time while driving at 120 miles per hour. These men survive gunshot wounds that would kill a combat soldier. They walk out of explosions. They fall from buildings. They crash vehicles that should be wreckage. And then they go home, eat a meal, and do it again tomorrow. A GTA cop isn't chasing a criminal. He's chasing a video game protagonist. Think about what that means on the ground. You get the call. Suspect fleeing northbound on the Sonora Freeway. Armed, dangerous, considered extremely hostile. You respond. 40 officers respond. Helicopters respond. And the suspect just doesn't go down. Absorbs everything, keeps moving, eventually disappears into the desert, and the chase just ends. Not captured, not killed, just gone. Until next time. The cops don't lose because they're incompetent. They lose because the person they're chasing was written to survive. That's not a fair fight. That's not even a fight. That's target practice where the target shoots back, never misses, and legally cannot die. The wanted system in GTA is one of the most iconic mechanics in gaming history. It's also, when you think about it, one of the most insane management structures ever put on screen. Here's how the escalation works. 1 star, patrol cars respond. 2 stars, more units, roadblocks. 3 stars, helicopters deployed. 4 stars, SWAT teams in armored vehicles. 5 stars, the actual military, National Guard, tanks, fighter jets. And here's the problem. The system never stops escalating, even when it's clearly catastrophically failing. Picture the scene. A player has already destroyed 50 police vehicles. Dozens of officers are down. Helicopters are falling out of the sky. The suspect has driven through a building, off a cliff, and survived a direct RPG blast fired by their own pursuit vehicle in a friendly fire incident. And the response? Send more units. The police system in Los Santos is infinite. It never runs dry. There's always another cruiser, another SWAT van, another helicopter. The city absorbs the losses, processes the expense, and dispatches the next wave, which means the officers on the ground aren't solving crime, they're feeding it. Every unit that responds becomes another casualty in a loop that never resolves. The job doesn't end, it just resets. And no one ever asks why the strategy isn't working. Additionally, the city is corrupt anyway. So you've survived the chaos. You've somehow made it through a 5-star pursuit without being killed, without your cruiser being destroyed, and without losing 3 colleagues to a tank that spawned on the freeway. Congratulations! You still work for a completely corrupt institution, because Rockstar didn't just make GTA's police ineffective, they made them complicit. The definitive example is Officer Frank Tenpenny in GTA San Andreas. Tenpenny isn't a bad cop who went crooked. He's a cop who built a criminal empire from inside the badge. He uses the Crash Unit community resources against street hoodlums as a personal enforcement arm. He controls gang activity in Los Santos not to eliminate it, but to manage it for his own benefit. He pressures CJ into doing his dirty work, eliminates witnesses, and operates with complete impunity for most of the game. And the one officer under his command who actually tried to do the right thing? Jimmy Hernandez, the rookie who reported Tenpenny to Internal Affairs. Tenpenny had him killed in the desert. That's what integrity costs you inside the Crash Unit. Tenpenny doesn't represent a systemic failure. He represents the system working exactly as designed for the people at the top. In GTA 5, it's more diffuse, but just as dark. The main corrupt operator isn't a street cop, it's FIB agent Steve Haynes, a federal agent running black ops that involve kidnapping, torture, and assassination, all while using the protagonists as disposable assets to climb the career ladder. And hovering above all of it is Devin Weston, billionaire, untouchable, who has Haynes in his pocket the same way he has politicians and lawyers. The badge is just a tool. Weston holds the tool. The institution isn't fighting crime. It's managing which crimes are allowed to happen and who profits. So if you're a rank-and-file officer in Los Santos who actually showed up to do the job honestly, you're already losing. You're either corrupt, expendable, or both. In GTA, the police aren't the guardians of order. They're just another faction in the chaos, one with a budget, a uniform, and the legal authority to make things worse. Let's reveal the real reason cops exists in GTA and why it sucks to be one. Here's the design truth that explains everything. Rockstar didn't build the police to win, but to slow you down. From a pure game design perspective, the wanted system exists to create tension, to raise stakes, to make the player feel like their actions have consequences, even in a world where consequences are largely temporary. The cops are a mechanic, a friction system, a way of making sure that robbing an armored truck feels different from buying a burrito, which means every officer in Los Santos is, at the fundamental level of the game's design, built to lose. Their purpose is not to catch the player. Their purpose is to make catching the player feel plausible for long enough that the gameplay feels meaningful. They're designed to apply pressure, force decisions, create chaos, and then fail. They will never catch Trevor. That's not a flaw in the system, that's the specification. So every cop who shows up to a 5-star pursuit is responding to a call they are structurally prohibited from successfully closing. They don't know that, but Rockstar does. And in a strange way, that's the darkest part of the whole setup. Infinite workforce, infinite vehicles, infinite budget, and a 0% permanent conviction rate on GTA protagonists ever across the entire series. So let's bring it all together. You're a cop in Los Santos. The city you're supposed to protect is a permanent war zone with more active gangs than most countries have political parties. The criminals you're chasing are functionally unkillable. The system you work inside is either corrupt at the top or designed at the structural level to fail. Your colleagues are going to keep dying. The vehicles are going to keep burning. The wanted level is going to keep climbing. And the player, the protagonist, the criminal, the chaos engine at the center of everything is always going to escape. That's not a policing problem, that's an existential one. In most games, the police represent order, the thin blue line, the institution that holds the world together while everything else falls apart. In those games, cops exist to be the thing that's bigger than any one criminal. In GTA, they represent something else entirely. They represent a system desperately trying to impose order on a city that was never meant to be controlled, built to respond, not to resolve. Designed to escalate, not to win. They show up because that's what the system does. It shows up, it applies force, and it loses. And then it resets, refills, and shows up again tomorrow. Being a cop in Los Santos isn't dangerous. It's not even tragic. It's Sisyphean. Every unit dispatched is a boulder pushed uphill. Every pursuit that ends with the suspect escaping into traffic or disappearing off a cliff is the boulder rolling back down. And somewhere in the LSPD dispatch center, another call is already coming in. The city doesn't change. The criminals don't stop. The system doesn't learn. It just keeps running. And if you think the cops have it bad, wait until you understand what it's like to exist on the other side of that system entirely. Because some gangs in Los Santos weren't just losing the war. They were erased from the story before anyone even knew their name. Next video, the most forgotten gang in Los Santos and why they were erased explained in detail.